We watched what Chick-fil-A has done over the years and how they've managed their lines, and we think that someone needed to do that in the election space, and that's what our focus has been. Why can't we have fun?
Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger looking to draw some inspiration from Chick-fil-A, at least when it comes to early voting, which already appears to be setting records in the Peach State. I'm Ellison Barber in for Gadi Schwartz, and this is Stay Tuned Now. We are officially 3 weeks away from Election Day, and early voting is now underway in a handful of states, including, as of today, Georgia, with voters lining up in record numbers outside polling stations this morning and eager to explain why.
It's time for a change in the country. It's time for revision. It's time for things to really, really improve. So that's why I got here this morning.
I believe in justice and fair play, and that's what I want, a fair election.
People definitely seem like they're eager to cast their ballot. They seem, anxious to do their duty, and vote.
Georgia remains under a spotlight this election cycle, especially after the state found itself in the middle of some controversy back in 2020. That's when former President Donald Trump and his allies pressured Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to find him enough votes to overturn the election, specifically 11,780 of them. However, a ruling handed down by a judge today says local officials cannot refuse to certify election results in Georgia, something right-wing activists and allies of Trump have been arguing for since 2020. And NBC's Gabe Gutierrez is on the campaign trail in Atlanta, Georgia. Gabe, day one of early voting there. How's it going so far?
Hi there, Ellison. Well, it was record-breaking, according to election officials here in Georgia. Well over 200,000 voters. That shatters the previous record of 4 years ago on the first day of early voting. Back then, it was 135,000. So, significant increase this year. And, Ellison, we were speaking with voters when the polls opened this morning at 7 a.m. Some of them told us they were very enthusiastic to vote for Kamala Harris. Her campaign has been really highlighting the need to early vote. But what's also different this year, Ellison, and we're seeing it at this rally tonight for former President Trump here in Atlanta, the former president, after years of vilifying early voting and mail-in voting, he is urging his supporters to vote as early as possible. We spoke with some voters here in line waiting to get into the event. They said they had either voted today or were planning to do so tomorrow, and they said that this was the election of their lifetime, and they wouldn't miss it. But again, shattered records here of early voting here in Georgia. Ellison?
A lot has happened in my home state in the last few years, certainly since I was a kid. Before Biden won Georgia back in 2020, a Democrat hadn't won the state in nearly 30 years. Then we had the Trump election interference case, all of that stemming from 2020. Is the fallout from 2020 impacting election workers so far this cycle?
Well, yes, it is, Ellison. And by the way, I'd almost forgotten that you lived in Georgia. I lived here for 7 years myself. So, yes, the Peach State, good to be back here. But election workers have been under heavy scrutiny over the past couple of years. Of course, there's been a dramatic increase against threats against election workers really throughout the country. And here in Georgia, election officials last month announced that they were beefing up security for election workers, for poll workers here as we got closer to Election Day, Ellison.
And Gabe, before you go, if we can, I want to ask you about this new NBC News poll. A lot of interesting nuggets in it, but there seems to be a partisan divide between early voters and Election Day voters, right? What do you make of that?
Yeah, that's right. That new NBC News poll out today, by the way, it does say that about half, 52% of respondents either plan to or have already early voted. Now, what's significant about that, too, is that so far, Vice President Harris has a 17-point lead among those early voters. But that's not quite surprising, Ellison. As I mentioned earlier, former President Trump, for a long time now, had been vilifying early voting and mail-in voting. So Republicans tended not to do that. They tended to vote on Election Day, and Democrats were the ones that tried to get their votes in early, especially 4 years ago during the pandemic. But think about that, Ellison, with just 3 weeks to go, about half of Americans plan to early vote. So this election, it is very urgent for the campaigns to try and get their messages out during this home stretch.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. And we are all so lucky to have you on the ground there reporting. Gabe Gutierrez in Atlanta. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Former President Trump will be where Gabe is in Atlanta tonight. It's part of a blitz in the Peach State today. He taped a town hall in Cumming, Georgia. That is a suburb about 45 minutes north of Atlanta. As for the campaign rally, he's expected to take the stage within an hour. Today's rally comes after that odd Pennsylvania town hall yesterday, where after a medical emergency, the former president stopped taking questions and instead turned the town hall into a 30-minute DJ set. Watch.
Would anybody else like to faint? Please raise your hand.
Let's do it now.
Please raise your hand. You know what we could do, though? If my guys can do it, how about we'll do a little music. Let's make this a musical fest. Let's not do any more questions. Let's just listen to music. Let's make it into a music. Who the hell wants to hear questions, right? Isn't that beautiful, though?
Let's bring in NBC's Dasha Burns, who is also in Atlanta tonight after she joined us last night from that town hall. Dasha, you joined Stay Tuned now live from the rally yesterday. Hallelujah was playing behind you. Walk us through exactly what happened there. And for people who aren't aware, I mean, it's not overly common, but it's also not really uncommon for people to have like medical emergencies at campaign rallies, right? Walk us through sort of the moments and what stood out to you as different.
Yeah, hey, my friend, the folks having medical issues, that is probably the most typical thing that happened last night. Everything else pretty much was certainly unusual. When Gadi and I were talking last night, little did we know that we were only probably about halfway or so through the Trump Spotify playlist. The two medical incidents were sort of back-to-back and interrupted the flow of the town hall. And the former president asked for his team to play Ave Maria while he waited for medical personnel to treat those folks. And he liked the song. It was the instrumental version. It wasn't the vocal version that he wanted. He wanted Pavarotti. And so once everyone was okay and cleared and out of there, he asked them to play Pavarotti. And then the music fest just kind of kept going from there. And folks stuck around. He stood on stage, swayed to the music, danced a little bit here and there. His team knew what songs he liked. These are songs that he often, the campaign tells me, plays at Mar-a-Lago, for example, when he might do a similar thing on dinner nights where he takes over and DJs at his private club, bringing that to those voters. An interesting decision at a town hall that was meant to do a Q&A with folks. He took about 5 questions, but played maybe 10 to 12 tracks or so, Ellison.
Yeah, I mean, Dasha, people often wait in line hours to get into these sorts of events. Were people there that evening, were they frustrated that they weren't able to even try and ask additional questions to the former president?
Well, look, it certainly took some people by surprise, including those of us in the press pen who weren't anticipating the pivot that this event ultimately took. Here's what I'll say, though. I mean, the campaign is thrilled by this event. They think it shows what an unconventional candidate he is, the unique connection that he has with his voters, that he can just stand around and listen to music with his supporters. And for the most part, people were taken aback a little bit, but they said they enjoyed it. Take a listen.
It was a town hall, and I did expect him to take more questions. I thought he would talk longer. However, I still will vote for him. I think he's a very good candidate. And the concert was great.
I felt like I was sitting in a room with him, just him. I could have been here another hour, another 2 hours.
I thought that was wonderful. Perfect music for the time.
And Ellison, of course, the Harris campaign is now looking to use this to question his mental fitness for office. And some strategists are wondering, was this the right move to make in such a massive media market in such a critical state and this close to Election Day, Ellison?
Yeah, I mean, Dasha, it seems like a lot of people who are left-leaning, the Harris campaign and others, have sort of raised this as an issue to say, hey, look, we saw issues with Mitch McConnell, other high-profile Republicans, particularly in the last year. Did we just witness another one? From your perspective, from what you saw and heard, did you see anything that suggested there was something like that? Or do you think this is just going to be something that plays out between the Trump campaign saying he was fine, this shows he was unconventional, it was fun, and surrogates of the Harris campaign, maybe the Harris campaign herself, saying we think something else is going on here?
Well, look, the tables have turned in this fascinating way where for many, many, many months of this election, it was a Trump campaign pointing to President Biden, saying that he has cognitive issues, that he's not fit for office. And now it's the other way around. Now it's the Harris campaign saying that about Trump. So that is their framing, the Harris campaign framing. I'll say that the former president, I've been to so many events and rallies, I can't even count them. This was particularly unusual, but for his supporters, part of the reason that they go is because with the former president, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what he might say or do that surprises people, and in some ways, that's what keeps his supporters coming back, Ellison.
All right, Dasha Burns in Atlanta, thank you as always, my friend. We appreciate it. A California man who was arrested outside former President Trump's Coachella rally says the whole thing is, in his view, nonsense. Vim Miller denies having plans to assassinate the former president. He said this to our Los Angeles affiliate, KNBC, just yesterday.
The way they try to represent the story, like they did some investigation and that sort of thing, is pure nonsense, absolute nonsense. Trump has been one of my top few inspirations, and he's one of the few people, if he were to really be shot by somebody, I'd be the first person to jump in front of that bullet, because I feel as though the work that he's doing is very important for the future of this country.
All right, remember, Miller was arrested Saturday at a checkpoint outside of that rally. Police say he had 2 illegal firearms on him. He's been accused of traveling to the rally in an unregistered vehicle and having multiple passports with different names on them on his persons. The local sheriff says his deputies likely prevented a 3rd assassination attempt, but federal law enforcement officials are still investigating, and so far they have not filed any charges against Miller. In Detroit today, Vice President Kamala Harris speaking directly to black voters after recent data suggested her campaign is struggling to appeal to male black voters in particular. Here's a little bit of what she had to say.
America became great, you know, off the backs of free black labor. How progressive are you on making it a priority and righting America's wrongs?
On the point of reparations, it has to be studied. There's no question about that. And I've been very clear about that position.
And while it is true that the vice president is not faring as well with black voters when compared to previous Democratic candidates, it is important to note we're not talking about a seismic shift here. Trump is nowhere close to winning the majority of the black vote, but in a race this tight, a slight shift could be a big deal. So let's bring in NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist, who is on the trail with the Harris campaign in Detroit, Michigan. Aaron, walk us through sort of what happened today. What are you hearing from your campaign sources tonight? What are they hoping to achieve with this sort of radio town hall?
Well, this radio town hall was one of several outreach opportunities that the Harris-Walz campaign has been trying to have. The vice president in particular sitting down for this conversation that was designed for her to be able to answer questions from the black community and from black men in particular. Charlemagne the God, who hosted this town hall, radio town hall, has a large audience, as does Roland Martin, with whom the vice president recorded an interview that aired yesterday, and also with the Shade Room, which has a large black audience across the country as well. The vice president today in this radio town hall was able to talk for about an hour about some of the things we've heard her address in the past around economic opportunity that she wants to create, but she also talked about reparations. She talked about how close this race is with former President Trump. She talked about being a president for all, but in particular saying that she is clear-eyed about the disparities that exist that have impacted the black community in particular, and the work that she wants to do and has been doing through the course of her career, in particular to help black people. She also yesterday laid out this opportunity agenda for black men, where she talked about creating loan opportunities for black entrepreneurs. She went into that a little bit as well on this radio conversation. She also talked about one of the other elements of that, and that is legalizing recreational marijuana. I want you to hear a little bit of her addressing that particular topic during this town hall.
I'm very clear. The community is not going to stand up and applaud just because everybody has a job. That should be a baseline. My agenda is about tapping into the ambitions and the aspirations, knowing that folks want to have an opportunity. If they want, they should have a meaningful opportunity to build wealth, including intergenerational wealth. And that's my agenda.
Now, I should say that that was the vice president talking about her agenda, as you just heard her say there, and really believing that she can't take any vote for granted. She said that she believes she has to get out there and earn the votes of African Americans all over the country. And really, that's been something we've heard from this campaign as it relates to all the different groups that she says are part of her coalition that she needs to build in order to win in November. We know that there are surrogates who've been out talking to Latino voters out west. We know that former President Clinton and the vice president's running mate Tim Walz are going to spend some time in North Carolina talking to rural voters, Ellison. And so it really is a full court press from the campaign to earn as many votes as it can, Ellison.
And it's especially important right now, Aaron, because early voting is already underway, right? Are you hearing from voters, be it Michigan or elsewhere, that they are responding well to this outreach?
Well, you know, it's something, this idea of getting people to the polls early is something that we've seen before. And the vice president has talked about it on the campaign trail, particularly in the last several days as she's been hitting some of these early voting states, saying that it's important for people, if the opportunity is available to them, to get out and vote early. If there are mail-in options that they can take advantage of, that they should do that as well. Some of the thinking around that, I think, is that when people take advantage of the opportunity to vote early, it drives up turnout. That is going to be a key thing for the Harris campaign, and they know that they need to make sure not only that people are supporting them, and they've seen a significant amount of support as they've been doing these rallies all over the country, but they need people to actually turn out. And encouraging them over and over again to turn out to vote early if they can is something that the campaign believes could help them as they look at Election Day in November and sort of getting those final totals from the early voting that's happening in so many places already, Ellison.
All right, Aaron Gilchrist in Detroit, Michigan. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. NBC News has exclusive reporting that the Afghanistan branch of ISIS was plotting a U.S. terror attack on Election Day. NBC's Justice and Intelligence correspondent Tom Winter reports.
An Afghan man who was taken into custody by federal authorities last week, charged with an Election Day plot, a mass shooting plot here in the United States, was directed by the foreign terrorist organization ISIS-K. That's ISIS's branch in Afghanistan, according to two senior U.S. officials. Nasir Tawedi was allegedly going to commit this mass shooting. He's yet to enter a plea in his case, according to court documents. But Tawedi was apparently speaking with somebody in ISIS, according to the court documents and according to the information that he allegedly gave federal agents after his arrest. This is significant because most would-be attackers over the past 10 years have been self-radicalized, so-called lone wolves. Now, the same group behind an attack that killed 130 near Moscow is believed to be responsible for planning an attack on our Election Day. This comes as news was received over the weekend that Tawedi's family member was picked up by French authorities and charged with plotting attack in that country. According to the anti-terrorism prosecutor in Paris, they were looking to attack either a stadium and or a shopping mall there. Several individuals of Afghan descent were arrested by authorities, and this family member was charged. It's also reporting late today that apparently Tawedi's mother has been a fervent supporter of ISIS and still lives in Afghanistan. This is very much an ongoing investigation. Last week, NBC News first revealed that Tawedi served as a security guard for the CIA in Afghanistan, and that he was able to get into this country in September 2021 as the U.S. was pulling out. Now, the U.S. says he went through multiple rounds of vetting. It still remains a bit of a question as to when he became radicalized, when ISIS-K began directing him, and where all this case goes.
Our thanks to Tom Winter for that. Let's go back to politics and Michigan in particular, because election officials in that state are trying to prevent a repeat of chaotic poll disruptions just 4 years ago. You might remember back in 2020, Trump supporters went toe-to-toe with police and election officials outside a room of poll workers at the Detroit Convention Center. At the time, they were falsely claiming there was widespread fraud. Now, an NBC News analysis is finding people tied to the Trump campaign actually encouraged that chaos. NBC's Yasmin Vasugian has more.
They were angry, banging on glass, yelling, "Stop the count." Scenes in Detroit after the 2020 vote.
You're hiding something? Are you hiding something in there?
Trump supporters arguing with police and election officials at the Detroit Convention Center outside a room of poll workers tabulating military ballots.
Michigan counted the votes in much the same way as they had always counted the votes. They just hadn't realized that there would be a throng of increasingly angry watchers, skeptical about everything they were seeing, mostly because they didn't understand what they were watching.
And now election officials are worried people are planning to show up again this year. Daniel Baxter, the chief operating officer for absentee voting and special projects in Detroit, was there.
I had one poll worker to come up to me, one of the lead poll workers, and say to me, "Mr. Baxter, I just want you to know that we are not in Selma, Alabama. It's not 1956, and this is not going to happen on our watch."
At the TCF Center in Detroit, Michigan, Republicans were answering the call of then-President Trump. In an overnight speech before all the votes were tallied, Trump falsely claiming victory in the national election and saying, quote, "We're winning Michigan." As for the ongoing vote counting,
This is a fraud on the American public.
And the next day, tweeting that his lead, quote, started to magically disappear as surprise ballot dumps were counted. Very strange. This as he fell behind. Those were Trump's public messages. But according to new filings in special counsel Jack Smith's federal election interference case against the former president, Trump's campaign was working behind the scenes to encourage disruptions, even rioting.
A member of the Trump campaign sent a text message to a lawyer who was on the ground at the TCF Center saying, "Make them riot."
Campaign operative, redacted in the indictment, matches the description of Mike Roman, who was director of Election Day operations for the 2020 Trump campaign. He has been charged separately in election-related cases in Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin, and pled not guilty. Roman did not respond to NBC News' requests for comment.
There are a number of other key players here, including people who were on the RNC payroll or on the Trump campaign's payroll.
NBC News reporting another protester at the scene was a Trump delegate and went on to be part of Trump's failed fake elector scheme. Several others were at the Capitol riots on January 6th, at least 2 convicted of crimes. Trump lost the state of Michigan by more than 150,000 votes with no widespread fraud. The question now is, will chaos outside vote counting happen again in November?
We're going to start our poll challenger presentation.
Republican groups are trying to organize thousands of poll watchers.
Donald Trump has signaled this directly. He has focused very explicitly on majority non-white cities and swing states.
I'm here only because they cheat. Philadelphia's out of control. Detroit is out of control.
Those are the places that we could see this happen once again.
So are we ready? Is Detroit ready? Election officials have a security plan in place to better control access to polling stations.
We also work with the Detroit Police Department to make sure that we have a tactical strategy in place to guarantee that everyone is safe.
Baxter says they've also been working alongside the RNC and the Michigan Republican Party to head off a repeat of 2020. In a statement to NBC News, a senior advisor for the Trump campaign and the RNC says, quote, "Our unprecedented election integrity program has recruited over 200,000 volunteers to protect the vote. These patriots have volunteered their time to bring transparency and accountability to our election process."
It's been 4 years and there's been no evidence. It seems that there's a lot of people who will just not break from this nonsensical belief that there's mass voter fraud in the country, and it's just not substantiated.
But those unsubstantiated lies that drove protesters to storm Michigan in 2020 may very well propel them again in 2024.
Our thanks to Yasmin Vasugian for that report. Don't go anywhere because we are just getting started here on Stay Tuned. Up next, damage control. A community in North Carolina is still reeling from Hurricane Helene, especially those who are now experiencing hurricane PTSD. NBC's Kathy Park is in Asheville with more. Plus, a new look at the Menendez case. The family of Eric and Lyle Menendez planned a rally at an LA courthouse. What they're asking the court to take a closer look at that might even lead to a release. And pandemonium. Giant pandas, they have returned to the National Zoo in D.C., something fans are very excited about. That's coming up later this hour, so stay tuned.
There's just so much excitement, so much joy to welcome them to our city. And, you know, the trucks obviously just pulled in. Lots of tears of joy for sure.
Welcome back. Here are some of the headlines we're watching tonight. Germany's flagship airline Lufthansa has been fined $4 million by the U.S. Department of Transportation for discriminating against Jewish passengers. The Department of Transportation says the airline prohibited more than 100 people who were wearing traditional Orthodox Jewish clothing from boarding a connecting flight in Germany about 2 years ago. Lufthansa says they fully cooperated with the investigation and partnered with the American Jewish Committee to address anti-Semitism in new trainings. A year after an Army reservist shot and killed 18 people at a Maine bowling alley and bar, the families of the victims are taking legal action. Today, lawyers representing 100 survivors and family members said they are pursuing negligence claims against the Department of Defense, and the Army, saying that they failed to respond to warning signs and threats previously made by the gunmen. The legal notices could pave the way for 100 individual lawsuits. Jury selection is now complete in the trial of a man charged with killing 2 teenage girls in Indiana back in 2017. Richard Allen faces 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of felony murder. He could face up to 130 years in prison. A few hours ago, 17 jurors were seated, including 4 alternatives. They will be sworn in on Thursday morning. This morning, the doors of a brand new EV charging station opened in Southern California. It's called Grove, and it can handle 40 EVs of any brand all at once. It's also a one-stop shop. It has a grocery store, a lounge with free Wi-Fi, and a car wash. At least that's what we're told. And in Ohio, officers were dispatched after reports of a runaway pumpkin, and they were surprised to find a huge inflatable. You see it there. Dashcam video shows an officer attempting to move it, but then he's nearly swallowed up by that rogue pumpkin. Eventually, the officer did break free. The inflatable was returned to its rightful owner. Officials in North Carolina say progress is being made 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene's deadly punch. Power is finally coming back. Roads, they're reopening, and water and cell service also starting to come back. But it's really not fast enough for those who were hit the hardest. Thousands are still in the dark or without running water, and more than 90 people still unaccounted for. Officials continue to call for an end to disinformation online and say it is leading to a wave of threats toward FEMA workers.
If you're participating in spreading this stuff, stop it. Whatever your aim is, the people you are really hurting are those in Western North Carolina who need help.
And as the days and weeks drag on, people dealing with the worst conditions say they're beginning to experience what they're calling hurricane PTSD. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park has more.
Tonight, more than 2 weeks since Hurricane Helene tore its path of destruction through western North Carolina, recovery efforts are being complicated by what officials are calling a persistent and dangerous flow of misinformation. FEMA making operational adjustments in recent days to protect staff after authorities say an armed man was arrested for allegedly threatening federal workers.
We have over 2,000 people from the federal family in North Carolina. And misinformation will not deter us from our mission of helping people.
Governor Roy Cooper back in the disaster zone today.
There are so many people who are still barely getting by. What are you telling them weeks into this disaster?
That we are working to try and draw down every avenue of local, state, and federal support. I think it can safely be described as the worst storm in North Carolina history.
And Wayna Smith and her 2 kids have been without clean running water and electricity for weeks.
I had to teach my babies how to brush their teeth and wash their bodies with a bottle of water last week. You know, we didn't have any water, we didn't have any electric, and it was so dark. My baby was like, "Mommy, it's so dark." I was like, "Just go to sleep. That's the only thing you can do." It's devastating.
Schools across Asheville closed since Helene hit, now scrambling to reopen.
We don't really have running water yet in the schools.
Is that the biggest holdup?
That would be the #1 holdup.
Chrissy Maynor, a single mom of 2, showed us how she's surviving without access to basic necessities.
I was having to go to the creek down here and
get water to flush the toilets.
A harsh reality setting in for this lifelong Asheville resident.
It's heartbreaking to see so much loss in such a beautiful place that is now destroyed, that's never going to be the same.
And Kathy joins us now from Asheville, North Carolina. Kathy, talk to us a little more about the PTSD people say they are experiencing during this period of recovery. What are you hearing on the ground?
So, Ellison, a lot of the folks we are speaking with say that they are on edge. I mean, when you look around, we are surrounded by devastation here in Buncombe County. You see it practically at every turn. This is their new reality, and it's really starting to sink in. They're also juggling so much. A lot of these families dealing with childcare issues. Daycare centers are closed. Schools are also closed. But on top of that, they are still struggling to get access to basic necessities like power and water. We spoke with two moms who basically say they're at their breaking points. Take a listen.
I just bust out crying. You know, like have these anxiety type attacks.
It's really emotional.
But it's emotional.
I've never feel like I haven't experienced this type of trauma before. So this is a whole nother level, because being a mom, you're worried about being able to survive, being able to make it for your kids, not just yourself.
Yeah, and Ellison, just adding to that conversation, one mom was telling me she's actually bringing her kids to work with her because she doesn't have anyone to lean on for help. And I mentioned the schools. Right now, a lot of schools are still in limbo because they're dealing with infrastructure issues. Water is still a big problem. We know they are scrambling to try to reopen. We know that Asheville City Schools are looking at October 28th. But keep in mind, these kids have been out of school for several weeks. It's going to be, another week and a half now, so there is learning loss. And just on top of all of that, I should also note there is no virtual learning because internet is spotty, and even students who are being homeschooled, they lean on their computers practically every day for virtual learning, and that's just not accessible at this time.
Kathy Park in Asheville, North Carolina, thank you. We appreciate it and your reporting. A cold snap is gripping millions from the Midwest to the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic over the next couple of days, making it feel a lot more like mid-November than mid-October. About 60 million people are under frost and freeze alerts. Parts of New York's mountain regions already saw the first snow of the season. EarthCam capturing a very snowy morning yesterday. Other cities like Chicago woke up to hailstorms and rain. High winds are falling up to 15 degrees below average in some parts of the country as this cold snap moves through. NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns joins us now with more. Bill, what's up with these frosty temperatures?
Everyone's diving in the closet, right? Finding the hats and the gloves. And yeah, it's always the first one that gets everyone. And it has been so warm much of the late summer and early fall that this has been a little shock to the system. Everyone's turning the heat on for the first time in some cases. And yes, we have about 60 million people under what we call either frost advisories, freeze watches, or freeze warnings. The reason these are issued is if you're in the freeze warning, it marks the end of the growing season. So, you know, pick whatever you can, or maybe get some blankets, throw it on top of stuff. That includes Kansas City, St. Louis northwards up to Green Bay, and spotty areas here of the Ohio Valley. And tomorrow night will actually be the coldest night in areas of the Northeast. So about 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, temperatures are going to be hovering anywhere about in the 30-degree range. In Kansas City, Wichita 31, Chicago 36. And remember, a lot of the cities tend to be a couple degrees warmer than the suburbs. So even though the cities may not be below freezing, the suburbs will. But this isn't going to last long. I mean, we are going to warm it up a little bit in the afternoon, still below normal. But then as we head towards the upcoming weekend, a huge warm up the end of this week. And then this weekend, temperatures really rebound. So, Allison, this is a very short duration cold spell. And then things get toasty right after this.
Interesting. So should we take these couple days of cold as an indication of what's to come once we really get into winter, or is this just for now?
Right. So the first cold, everyone's already starting to think, well, what's winter going to be like? You know, like I'm not ready for this. So, yeah, we're going to be going into what we call a La Nina weather pattern as we go through this winter. Last year was El Nino, and it was like record-breaking warm. If you love snow, it wasn't the winter for you. We were below normal snowfall almost everywhere. So La Nina means that the sea surface temperatures out here in the equatorial Pacific are cooler than normal, and we're trending towards towards a La Nina, about a 60 to 70% chance that it officially develops in the next month or two. So the big question is, well, how does that influence? Last year was El Nino, the opposite, and it was really, really warm. So for this winter, typically La Nina means warmer in the bottom half of the country. The northern half of the country is kind of average winter temperatures. And the storm track typically goes up into the Pacific Northwest, dives down through the middle of the country, and then it rolls back up here as we get past Buffalo. This means stormy weather, possible extra snow in areas of the Great Lakes, and it also means the Pacific Northwest and the mountains should get a good dose of snow and heavy rain, but the whole southern half of the country be expecting a dry, warm, maybe drought conditions beginning to spread. And for all my Northeast snow friends, it usually means a little bit below average snow for the Northeast.
All right, I love a good snow, but really fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks for breaking that down. Bill Cairns, we appreciate it. And coming up, a crisis in confidence for young women in their math and science classes. Well, we're learning from a new study on how parents and teachers can help. That is tonight's Future of Everything. But first, you gotta see this. A horticulture teacher from Minnesota took home the top prize in the World Championship pumpkin weigh-off in Half Moon Bay, California. Travis Ginger's great big pumpkin weighed in at a whopping 2,471 pounds. Ginger has been the winner for the past 4 years, but credits this year's gigantic gourd to the record-breaking rain. The pumpkin is set to travel down the coast, where it will meet its fate at a professional pumpkin carving event. Sorry about that bit. We will be right back. Thanks to new evidence and a popular Netflix show, the Menendez brothers are possibly looking at being resentenced or maybe set free. Tomorrow, roughly 24 of their relatives are headed to Los Angeles and say they will speak at a news conference outside a courthouse. Here's how their attorney recently explained the whole thing to our NBC affiliate in L.A.
They all took it upon themselves to fly in from all over the country. They will be here on Wednesday, and they are going to talk to the press and tell the press that they are united in asking for Eric and Lyle to be released from prison.
And just a few moments ago, the L.A. County's DA's office released a statement saying, in part, quote, the planned news conference tomorrow is being hosted by the lawyers and family of the Menendez brothers. The DA's office will not attend nor make any announcement at their news conference. A decision regarding the Menendez case has not been made. Let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos for more on this. Okay, so Danny, it seems like this press conference, initially, it seemed like it was going to be something done in conjunction with the DA. Now it seems like perhaps this is just the family's effort at putting public pressure on the DA's office. But from a legal perspective, is the DA in a position in this county or anywhere where they can just say, OK, never mind, the sentence is changed, waived, let him go? Or is that something only a judge can decide?
Exactly what you just said. Yes, they are in the position to make that kind of recommendation or that request for resentencing. But ultimately, in all issues of sentencing, it is the judge that decides. This is not a situation where the DA is saying, hey, we want to withdraw the entire case. We want to drop it. That's not really what's happening. It appears that if there is going to be any action on this case, it is that the DA is going to request a resentencing, which implies that the defendants are still guilty of the underlying crimes, but that he wants the court to look, and the judge in particular, to consider a new sentence, which presumably would be something on the order of time served. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to get everybody into town and make a big conference out of this. Of course, now, if the DA is not involved, maybe that theory is off the table.
There has been so much attention on this case between the new evidence, the Netflix show, even Kim Kardashian throwing her support behind them being released. Are life sentences without the possibility of parole often revisited like this, or is this unique?
No, not at all. We're living in a new era where if you get a documentary made about you and it's during a pandemic when everybody's watching, you've got a shot at getting out of prison when there must be, generally speaking, more deserving folks. It's not a meritocracy, apparently. It's a documentary-autocracy. And the Menendez brothers are the beneficiaries of that. And if you're them, if you're their defense team, that's a huge benefit that they got their story out there. But, I mean, I could equally see in this case the DA saying, we're not interested in resentencing. I mean, there was little doubt that they were actually the ones who committed the killings. They just had a kind of justification defense. So this really does surprise me. If they are resentenced to time served, it's a testament to the power of media and the documentary and these streaming platforms like Netflix and Peacock that can put together documentaries that get so much public support for these defendants. I lived through the original Menendez trial, and I remember, I was pretty young, but I remember the general public sentiment was not, oh, these poor boys. It was quite the opposite. It was, they're going away forever. Things have changed. We have different views in society about sexual abuse. There's new legislation that allows the DA to revisit that if there was pre-conviction sexual molestation. And if he thinks there was, they can revisit it.
What do you expect to happen here in the coming weeks? I mean, this LA County DA, he is up for re-election, right? So in theory, there's kind of a timeline on this if he is looking at it through a political lens. What do you think happens next?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's interesting to me as well. I mean, clearly, November 5th, the election is looming for the DA. And so you have to wonder how much of this is politically motivated. And if it is politically motivated, what demographic does he hope to appeal to? I'm not entirely sure. There will be those that may think these are folks that should stay in prison and others that think they should be released. So there must be some politics involved in this. It's a little beyond my ken. But I have to tell you, this is so unusual to me that the Menendez brothers actually have a shot of getting out of prison.
All right, Danny Cevallos, thank you so much. We appreciate your time and insights as always. Thanks. Today, jury selection began in a federal retrial for a former police detective involved in the death of Breonna Taylor. Brett Hankison faces federal civil rights violations for the shooting of 26-year-old Breonna Taylor. She was killed in her apartment in Louisville, Kentucky in 2020. NBC News correspondent Adrian Broaddus has more.
Once again, federal prosecutors are trying to convict Brett Hankison. You may remember he was acquitted back in 2022 at the state level. But this time around, he has been charged with violating the civil rights of Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend. Earlier this year, members of a jury were unable to reach a unanimous decision. They were deadlocked, leading to a mistrial. Federal prosecutors had hoped to show a history of Brett Hankison using excessive force. They wanted to introduce new evidence dating back to 2016 and 2017, according to court documents. Those court documents show back then Hankison was accused of violating protocol with his police department and putting the lives of other officers at risk. But a judge ruled that evidence will not be allowed in the case this time. So the only thing that will really be new this time around, Ellison, is members of the jury. And of course, prosecutors are hoping this jury will be able to reach a decision, and the defense is hoping they can clear their client's name. Ellison.
Adrian Broaddus, thank you. Still ahead, bracing for retaliation. New conversations between Israel and the U.S. about plans to respond against Iran. The targets not expected to be in play. That's up next, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's take a look around the world. A vial of poison that killed a British woman in 2018 could have killed thousands. That is according to a just-released investigation. Dawn Sturgis died after spraying the contents of a discarded perfume bottle on her wrist. Now the lead counsel for an inquiry into her death says that vial posed a major public danger. Britain blames Russian intelligence, but Moscow denies any involvement. And a Russian man has been rescued after surviving 67 days at sea. And he did it on a small inflatable boat that lost its engine. However, his brother and nephew, they were found dead beside him. The three men had apparently set out in early August to try and watch whales before they went missing. Prosecutors are now investigating the incident for potential safety violations. Mounting tensions between North and South Korea continue, with the North blowing up sections of two cross-border roads connecting the countries and prompting the South to fire warning shots in response. This comes days after North Korea accused the South of sending drones over Pyongyang, which the South has declined to confirm or deny. And in Bosnia, hundreds of people mourning the victims of this month's devastating floods and landslides. At least 26 people have died. Officials say dried out land from a summer drought and heavy rains from climate change made those floods much more devastating. And we are keeping an eye on several developments out of the Middle East. The U.S. is now giving Israel an ultimatum: improve humanitarian conditions in Gaza or risk losing U.S. assistance. This comes as UN agencies are saying that no food aid has reached Gaza in 2 weeks because Israel is blocking it. All of this as Israel prepares to retaliate against Iran. NBC's Hala Gourani has more from Tel Aviv. Hala.
The State Department and the Pentagon today confirmed that a letter was sent to the government of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It was co-signed by the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, and the Defense Secretary as well, giving Israel 30 days to improve humanitarian conditions in Gaza or risk violating the laws that govern foreign military assistance in the United States. 30 days, of course, means that that deadline falls after the presidential election at the beginning of the month of November. And the situation in Gaza is indeed dire. At least one UN agency is saying that no food has entered northern Gaza at all since the beginning of the month of October. And Israel has stepped up airstrikes and bombardments in the north, in the center, and in the south of the Gaza Strip. The shocking images that the world saw about 48 hours ago of a tent city and the Al-Aqsa hospital courtyard where people were literally engulfed in flames, some of them burned alive. And this is happening as this country, Israel, braces for the retaliation promised by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu against Iran. 3 senior administration officials told NBC that Israel had promised not to hit targets in Iran that were sensitive nuclear targets or energy targets as well in that country. And that is a very much a wait-and-see situation, as promises in the past made by this government were not necessarily kept. And of course, this is also happening as the U.S. Is sending the THAAD missile defense system to Israel. Some of the components and troops required to operate it have already made it into the country, with more on the way.
Hala, thank you. Before we go, it is time for the future of everything. Why young girls say they are losing confidence in STEM courses. What's being done to try and turn the tide? That is in the future of education. Plus, special delivery, the pandemonium underway in our nation's capital as the beloved Bears finally return. How soon you'll be able to see the pair for yourself. In tonight's Future of Everything, education experts have been working to bridge the gap between boys and girls in STEM. Of course, you probably know that means science, technology, engineering, and math. There's a new study that found the number of girls interested in STEM has significantly increased over the last 5 years, but it also found some concerning trends on the flip side. NBC's Maya Eaglin has this report.
What would you say is your favorite class in school right now? Science. Science? How about you?
Science.
What is the first data that we have to gather?
There's encouraging news for the future of girls in STEM.
We see girls' interest in STEM is high and it's rising. We saw the biggest increase among the 5th and 6th grade girls.
There's an increase in girls' interest in STEM careers, with 55% expressing interest, up from 45% in 2017.
According to a new study by nonprofit Ruling Our Experiences, or ROX.
Milliliters, thank you.
But it's not all good news.
Their confidence in their abilities, specifically around STEM subjects, is decreasing.
59% of girls reported believing they were good at math and science. That's down from 73% in 2017.
It's an intersection of mental health challenge, confidence challenges that then are impacting girls' aspirations and their decisions.
Middle school girls in the study reporting emotional issues that were previously more common in high school.
What we're dealing with is not a lack of competence, but a crisis of confidence.
Similar to like when I was growing up, society made it seem that STEM was more for boys.
Lindsay Guzman is the 4th grade STEM teacher at the bilingual bicultural school in New York City and leads an after-school science club.
And I think a lot of it has to be with like the culture that you build in the classroom. And then they see me also, a woman in STEM. If I could do it, you could do it.
Did the plant start to grow?
We're not going to develop that sense of confidence identity if people from their own community aren't creating those invitations to come to the table.
Margaret Koifer works for the STEM Alliance, a nonprofit dedicated to increasing equitable STEM education.
There's interest, which is fantastic, but this persistence to stick to it and follow it as a career, that is the struggle when we talk about girls and people of color in terms of pursuing STEM careers.
With women making up 35% of STEM jobs today, Hinkleman says she thinks that can change.
The idea of taking a risk or getting something wrong is a risk that many girls don't want to take. But if we can construct environments where it's valuable for them to learn from their mistakes, I think we can shift this trajectory.
And these ambitious young girls agree.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a teacher when I grow up.
A teacher. And what class would you teach?
Science.
Maya Eaglin, NBC News.
And former NFL quarterback Tom Brady is now officially a minority stakeholder in the Las Vegas Raiders. Brady's stake in the team was approved earlier today by NFL team owners, taking 5% ownership. But the former Super Bowl MVP has restrictions due to his new job as a broadcaster with Fox. These include not having access to other teams' facilities and no public criticism of officials and other NFL teams. And finally tonight, it's been nearly a year since the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. said goodbye to its giant pandas. But great news, they are back. That's right. Giant pandas returned to the nation's capital today ahead of their public debut in January. Our Tom Costello has more on the adorable bears.
Touching down at Washington Dulles Airport, the FedEx Panda Express. Its precious cargo tracked by news helicopters and a police escort for high-level Chinese diplomats. The dignitaries, 2 3-year-olds, Bao Li, a male whose name means treasure and energetic, and Qing Bao, a female whose name means green and treasure.
It's just so much excitement, so much joy to welcome them to our city.
It's all part of a global breeding and conservation program that's moved the pandas from the endangered list to vulnerable.
If you want to save a species, you have to make more of them. And so that's something we've really done.
It was last November when 51 years of pandemania came to an end and the Smithsonian's last 3 pandas flew home, just as U.S.-Chinese relations grew tense. But then China announced the pandas would return. 2 arrived in San Diego in June. Now, a 10-year loan agreement with the National Zoo paying China $1 million a year. For the first 30 days, the pandas will be in quarantine to ensure they don't bring any parasites or infectious diseases to other animals here at the zoo. Today, the zoo was closed as staff worked to get their new residents settled. Soon, they'll move to an upgraded panda habitat, then make their public debut in January, as a half-century of panda détente returns to the nation's capital. Tom Costello, NBC News, Washington.
That does it for us tonight. I'm Ellison Barber. We will see you tomorrow, but until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.